Hello, I'm Dr. Ivy Peltz,
And I'm Dr. Eric Studley.
and we're the founders of Doccupations, an online algorithmic dental job matching site. We match dental job seekers with dental employers, and we'd love for you all to sign up, so please go to www.doccupations.com. But that's not why we're here today. We are here to bring you Dear Doccupations, where we answer frequently asked questions from the dental community. And today, the question that we're going to ask is, Dear Doccupations, an employer gave me a contract to sign. A restrictive covenant is included. The employer has 12 offices within the same state. You can't see. How will this impact me if I leave?
So first, before we begin this, we have to do the disclaimer that this is simply the
These represent the opinions
of myself and Dr. Peltz.
And us alone.
And always, before signing anything with employment contracts, please get an attorney that is well-based and advised in employment contracts for dentists. So with that said, a restrictive covenant, just to give a very brief definition of it, it's a term in an employment contract that will prohibit you from working within a certain radius, also within a certain time frame, as well as the effect on the employees that work for the current employer.
So if you're working in a certain location, a restrictive covenant will say something like, you cannot work within, if you leave this office, you cannot set up a practice or work in a practice within 2 miles, let's say, of this, within a 2-mile radius of this practice for the next 2 years, just as an example.
So, and a restrictive covenant, regardless of what you may hear, is 100% enforceable, as well as anything that you sign in a contract. Because often you'll hear, oh, don't worry about the restrictive covenant, they're not enforceable. Anything that you sign is enforceable. But with a restrictive covenant, especially if you are working for an employer that has multiple practices in the same state, or even in other states that you may eventually work someday, especially when you're first starting your career. So when you sign that restrictive covenant, there are times where the restrictive covenant will say that it is enforceable from all of the locations that the employer has in that state or any other state, as well as you cannot work or then take the employees, and it is 100% enforceable. So before you sign, you want to, number one, as we said, always advise with an attorney, but you also want to make sure that the restrictive covenant is only from the one main location where you work most of the time. You may work for a group that has 3 to 5 offices, but you spend, out of the 40-hour work week, you spend 30 some odd hours, in one location. You want to make sure that the restrictive covenant is only from the main location where you put the most amount of hours.
So keep in mind the word restrictive. Realize it's going to restrict you, and your decision about how it's going to impact you really has to do with your future plans and what you want to do. So for some people, since you don't know what your plans are going to be in the future, you may want to try to negotiate that restrictive covenant to as
short a time period,
short a time,
and as short as
a small radius.
Yeah,
we can talk between
the
two of us. So thank you. Hope that's been helpful. We are Doccupations. This is Dear Doccupations.
Send in those questions to.
Just put them into the comment section of this thread, and we'll be happy to set up our next Dear Doccupations. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.